Hey, everybody. Today we are here with the one and only Eric Forner. Eric, we met probably within the last month, to be honest with you. And I was like, who is this guy? Laying down next to the ClickFunnels Walk of Fame where he had his name on the floor. And I looked down and it's 2 Comma Club. But I also saw something else. At Funnel Hacking Live, they give you different ribbons that you put on this like necklace you pretty much wear, and it said rookie, and I also saw that it said 2 Comma Club award winner, and there he is pointing down at the award that he just won for crossing 7 figures in his business. And to me, that was super inspiring because it sometimes takes people 10 years to get a 2 Comma Club award. He did it in about 22 months. But Eric, what I admire most about you is the journey that you've taken to get here. And I want to start this with reading something from one of your posts back on September 12th of 2023. You said, I am always nervous to speak about this, but I am about to share this with you. Less than 4 years ago, I was in prison and had nothing to my name, had no family to support me, and I was in the darkest place I had ever been in. All I could think about was, is this my life now? I was 40 years old and there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Dude, that's only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you're here. Talk to me about that. Where were you 4 years ago that you were having all of those thoughts, that was the darkest place that you had ever been?
So I guess the thoughts that were going through my mind is I was a repeat offender. The recidivism rate's about 3 years. Typically a person would get out of prison in 3 years, they would go back. Well, that was the case. And I've been to prison 5 times with 6 DUIs and currently on parole as we speak. But in the place I was at was all family had disowned me. I didn't have any contact with anybody, aunts, uncles. Mom disowned me when I was younger anyway. Dad was the only one that was holding me down. But every time I went to jail or anything like that, I never got letters. So I just figured I was just going to be another product of society going to prison, had the recidivism rate go back and forth, back and forth. So that was the mindset I was in. I was just like, nobody really cares and nobody's really out there to, really, help me along in this journey. They don't understand, I thought. And the only person that truly understood was my sister. And that's, the emotions I was going. I didn't think about suicide. I didn't think about nothing like that. I was always a strong-minded and strong-willed individual. But the feelings I felt were basically that I was not going to amount to anything. And, I'm going to be back in prison within 3 years because that's been the cycle for the past 20. And I didn't really have an outlook on anything. I didn't have any skills except for construction. And that's not what I wanted to do. But I knew I was going to do something, and it was either make it or not.
What were your options at that point? Did you have any inclination, or like, did you know, hey, I want to start a business? Or, where were you at in your life that you said, okay, I either make it or I don't. I do something with my life or I don't. Well, give us some context in terms of what were you thinking about when you say, I have to make it or I'm not?
Indeed. So I would say probably 6 years ago, on one of my little breaks of being in the free world, on the streets, as they call it. I was on the street, or I was in prison, and got out, and I heard a little birdie basically land on my shoulder. And he said, try online marketing, try doing something online, Forex trading, drop shipping, whatever it was. Well, anyways, I got out and I didn't see immediate success. And I believe it was 2016. I think it was about 2016. I got out and I tried something called MCA, Motor Club of America. And it was like this half scam, half whatever it was. But I felt that I had something there as far as being my own boss. And so I thought about these thoughts for the past 6 years up to the time I went to prison this last time in Montana. And it wasn't really, I guess it was there. It wasn't manifesting until I read a book that my sister sent me. And out of the blue, my sister hasn't talked to me for years. She found me online and she didn't write me a letter. She didn't do anything but sent me a book from Amazon. It was called Ask If It's Given. And as soon as I read that book, and I realized from that book that I can manifest anything that I put my mind to, I knew it was going to be a possibility. And through that prison stint, I met an individual who was doing like crypto trading or Forex trading or something like that. He was just in passing, basically one of my holding tanks that I was in. And I got to talking to him. I was really inspired by it. The thought and the idea left, but then I got that book. And that book is actually what opened my eyes up to new horizons. My sister's a self-made millionaire. My brother's a self-made millionaire. Two different dads, same mom, but we never had really any kind of contact with childhood. And so the idea of me either making it or not stood as I'm either going to make it in this online business or I'm not going to make it in online business. I'm going to either go back to prison or make it, is what my thought process was. And I knew I was going to get out and do construction because I had to survive. But that's when I kind of had that epiphany moment, is when I received that book for my sister. And it kind of opened my eyes. I started manifesting stuff. I put my ideas, what I wanted, into a box. And I just kept throwing these ideas and what I wanted throughout life, because I never grew up with anything. When the kids were riding bicycles to school, I was always walking. So, for me to have something, it was like really far fetched. I'm going to have to get it myself. But that's where it came into, either I'm going to make it or I'm not. I'm either going to make it or I'm not going to make it. And I chose the path of believing in myself, because it all boils down to belief. And once I was able to believe myself through that power of that book, believe it or not, is what changed my life. It started this fire, is when it kind of all changed for me.
Eric, how do you have belief when there's no evidence for that belief in your life?
Because the success of others, having inspiration, having mentors that didn't even know that I was a mentee, reading different books from Grant Cardone to Gary Vee to even Dan Henry, right? It created that belief. Was that very first book. I believe that my sister could do it. She barely graduated high school and she became a millionaire with real estate photography. So I knew it was possible. So I seen other people doing it. And I knew I was capable internally on the person I was. I was a person that didn't give up. If I started drinking, it was all in 100%. Like there was no deviating from the plan. I would party until it was time to go to work in the morning. So I knew I had the will in me, and I knew it was possible because of other people I've seen have success. And that was with my sister and my younger brother, and he does real estate. So that's where that belief came from. And it was just the manifestation of that book. And then also looking up to other individuals that I called my mentors that were never even known me.
Did you ever have the opportunity to ask your sister why she sent you that book?
I did, because she said it changed her life. So when I got out, my sister was the type of individual, she didn't write letters and she didn't answer the phone. She was too busy. But when I got out, I asked why that book. And she simply told me that's what changed her life, because at 18 or 19 years old, she was in a dark place as well. Suicidal thoughts. She's actually been to the hospital for different scenarios and such. And somebody passed that book to her about, manifestation and believing in yourself, and, the power of why. That comes all in later. But that book is what changed her life. And she figured if it changed her life, why not give it to her brother? And so when she sent me that book, to tell you the truth, that was the very first book I ever wrote in my life at 30 years old. Throughout school, I would always cheat or get, some kind of help. And I never really read books. I didn't have the attention span to read, but I sat down and read that book, not once, not twice, but 3 times. I read that book through the 3 years I was in prison last time. And I adapted. I became that book. I became that character. And reading other books too, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read actually when I was in prison. After that book was my second book I ever read. And that gave me the mindset of, like, he had a rich father and he had a poor father. And I sat in the side with the poor father. So that just inspired me, being with the limited abilities and limited assets in prison that you have. You have a library and somebody might send you something in, through the mail. But that's kind of like how it all took form and transformed to what it is today.
Yeah, there's a quote from one of my mentors, Les Brown. He said, Devin, coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. Some people might look at that scenario and say, Eric, it's just a coincidence that she sent you that book. But that was some divine intervention, man. And number two, part of the reason why I admire you so much is the work that you're doing. And we're going to dive into that with you helping people build their business online. But the reason why I admire your work is because it has ripples. Just like that one book, your sister was inspired by that book, so she sent you that book. That's the work that you're doing, man. And your work is not just affecting the person that is investing in your program or coming to your challenge. It's going to affect daughters, their wives, their sisters, and that is the importance of what it is that you're doing. Before we kind of transition a little, because man, I gotta learn about what you got going on. What do you feel like are maybe the biggest misconceptions people have when it comes to mindset in the entrepreneurial space? Because just from listening to you, the biggest thing from an outsider's perspective was mindset for you. That once you got that right, everything changed. So what do you think people maybe are doing wrong when it comes to mindset, and what should they be doing instead?
100%. I think it's going to start with number one, believing in themselves, having that mindset of like, I look at it like this. I don't go to the gym to train my body. I go there to train my mind, and my body will follow. Right. And so starting off and trying to teach somebody mindset, they have to see what they're capable of and actually have that belief within themselves that it's possible. Right. And so when I incorporate mindset, it all starts from a daily routine and getting up earlier. The 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. I'm not sure if you read that book, fire book, but that's the mindset I had. I was a go-getter. I was not a PC case or a rat or anything like that in prison. I always worked out, and I was not a part of a prison gang, but I had the mindset of like overachieving. I've had that all my life. I don't know why. I've had that mindset all my life of overachieving and trying to do it to my best ability or until my hands would bleed. But it doesn't matter what it was. If it was drinking alcohol or partying all night or working my construction job, working in the mines, I would like just go until I just could not go no more. And so that's kind of like where the mindset I believe started, possibly was my work habits. But it journeyed into my daily routine. And, you know, being in that environment, you have to get up at a certain time. If you were in a good, I guess, program, and you have a good program, that program was working out, eating right, you know, all these different things. It started then. And, you know, having that I cannot fail mindset no matter what, it was always started out like that when I went to prison. But by the time I got out and 3 years later, I was back into that, those limiting beliefs and also self-medication, medicating myself. Right. So for a person, a brand new beginner, we start with, you know, number one is their why. Why do you want to achieve whatever it may be? Why do you want to lose weight? And we have to hold that dear to our hearts, because if, you know, if we don't lose weight, we might die of hypertension, obesity, or whatever. But also we might lose, you know, relationships. We might not get the relationships we want because we're not that type of shape. So I always weigh the whys to the why I won't, and I see which one weighs more. And that's what I try to teach my students is the more you give, the more you get, right? And having that mindset as people before profit, that's a mindset in its own. If you're putting yourself out there and you're taking away your time of your day to help somebody out for free, which in return, it shows them that, you know, that's a mindset to have in itself. So teaching a beginner mindset is truly probably one of the hardest things I've done up to this point. But it all starts with their why and why they even jumped in my program, or why are they scrolling TikTok to learn how to make money. It's going to be more than just make money. Because when you actually do the seven levels of why, then it's going to be like, okay, I want to make more money. Well, why? So I can go on more vacations. Why? Because I never had them when I was a kid. I want to give back. Why? Because I want to show my son and my daughter a different life. Why? Right? And it keeps boiling down. And once we can get that why so dialed in, then our mindset, I believe, through working out, eating right, drinking water, believe it or not, is super important. And that's going to start with that positive mindset and seeing transformation, going to the gym and seeing some type of transformation, not going there to necessarily build muscle, but go there to break over plateaus. Rather than doing 3 sets today, let's do 4 and let's run on the treadmill afterwards so we can increase our cardio, right? So it just starts with the small things, and starting with a routine is it has to happen. It's mandatory, because we're so accustomed to glass ceilings and brick walls that we didn't have any type of routine. And that routine might have just got up to punch a clock for somebody else, make them rich, but we didn't ever try to work out and better our bodies and better our vessel. And when we start doing things that we could see that we could have success on, it raises our mindset.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of why and purpose, let's talk about your business, because you have a really awesome online business and you're just crushing it. What is the business that you have, and what's your why?
For sure. So I teach aspiring entrepreneurs on how to build long-term sustainable businesses online without having tech skills or prior experience. That's what I do, cut and dry. And my why is to give back and to help at least 1,000 people before I die quit their jobs, or to have a better life, or even to get that time and freedom back. Because the most valuable thing in this world is time. Money, they'll keep printing over and over. You get sick, whatever pandemic, the government's going to pay you, but time we don't get back. So my why is I've taken so much throughout my life being selfish to the loved ones that I had that were supportive before my addiction really took flight, that I took so much. I didn't realize I was putting them in prison as well. I took the chance on other people's lives when I drove drunk every single night. I was taking from somebody. And it has manifested through this whole process of my why is I want to help at least 1,000 people change or transform their lives, not financially, but true, I guess you could say, what I want to say, it's going to be true success, relationships, health, and wealth. And if I could help as many people as I possibly can through the taking I've done throughout my life and give back, I'm all about that, because that's how I started my business, was giving.
So Eric, when you start working with somebody new, you said aspiring entrepreneurs. So do your clients tend to be typically people that want to do it, but they're still trapped in their job? But they have the dream of becoming an entrepreneur. Am I understanding you correctly?
That's the entry level of it. We do have an inner circle program where I will help people on invite only. I don't put it out there, but it's on invite only. They have to be making at least $10,000 per month in their business, or made $10,000 total in the last 6 months. If that individual either comes from my program, because I have over 1,000 affiliates now, my goal within 6 months is to get that individual to that next level, to 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 months. But I primarily work with the individuals that are just starting out. Yes, I do have an inner circle program that I work with the more higher level. But for the most reasons, I want to see light bulbs go off all the time. I want to see people break barriers, or, do whatever is in their life that they've never done before, ever. And that usually starts with a beginner, typically.
Sure. What do you observe are the biggest challenges that beginners face versus the challenges that somebody in your inner circle will face? So what are the differences that you see with someone that's a beginner versus someone that's at 10K trying to get to 50?
Consistency.
Talk to me about that.
Trying to be perfect, right? Consistency is like, consistently doing something over and over, not to get the same result, but people usually try 3 strikes and you're out. That's how baseball is. All these different things. They think they try 3 times and they're not going to do it again. But what we lack in is consistency and a community to show you that it is possible. So when I talk about like consistency and imperfect action, is that we don't have to show up perfect. We don't have to have 1,000 followers. We don't have to, have this amount of success. Leverage other people's success. Use the guru story. Talk about your origin story. Talk about all these different things inside of when you're starting, but truly it boils down to consistency and people not staying consistent, not seeing instant results, instant gratification. Our attention spans now is 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and we can't really focus on too many things. Not saying you or me, but in general, it's 2 seconds and people lose focus if they don't get some kind of instant result. So we have to try to push that past that plateau with our mindset and take imperfect action. When you don't think, you should go to the gym, that's the best time to go to the gym. Or when you don't think you should post a video because you didn't have your hair done, nobody truly cares about what you look like. They don't. It's about the messages coming out of your mouth. And when you start breaking down those limiting beliefs and those interior limiting beliefs we have about ourselves, if we can start by staying consistent, taking imperfect action, we will see results. Like riding a bike. You didn't ride a bike, get on it the first time and just was able to go to do an Ironman. No, you probably fell down 4 or 5, 6 times and maybe even broke your arm during the process, but we didn't quit as children. For some reason, as become adults, it seems like we have these limiting beliefs about ourselves, or glass ceilings or brick walls in front of us. It's like the right thing to do is just to give up. So consistency is the biggest killer for anybody trying to start an online business, trying to, a coaching business. Doesn't matter. We work with personal trainers to bookkeepers to people that own restaurants. So it's all the same thing, but consistency is the biggest killer, my man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking for the magic bullet, but there's so many different things that work, from, DMing people to challenges to webinars. Like, all these vehicles work, but I think the question is, will we work?
100%.
I think that's really the question. Okay, man, I got a lot of questions in front of me, and we don't have that much time, so I got to jump into some of these. How are you generating leads? Or before I go to that, actually, you said something that caught my attention. You said we have 1,000 affiliates. Now, I want you to coach me. Let's say I want to get affiliates for my coaching program. Number one, where do I find them? Number two, how do I approach them?
100%. So, number one, where you find them is on any social media platform out there. When people think things are oversaturated, there's 7 billion people on this planet. And all we have to do is talk to one person, because if we talk to everybody, we're talking to nobody. And what I mean by that is talk to one person. That's our avatar. Through our past experiences, our work history, whatever we've done, through skill sets, the trials and tribulations of life and how we overcome that obstacle. We need to talk about that through storytelling, and it becomes into story selling. That's exactly what I teach on how to brand yourself, personal branding. And so using past experiences of where we were, where we're at now, and where we're going is super important, because people don't buy from people. People don't buy from companies, they buy from people. And so what I teach my affiliates is to go on social media platforms, produce short form content. And I look at TikTok, Instagram as basically a mine, and it's full of coal, and we're mining diamonds. And so what I do is I have them go out there and tell their stories, talk about where they were at using the origin story, their why, talk about those different smaller aspects of things, and talk about how you overcome an obstacle and give them a solution. So I look at TikTok and all these other places as I'm mining diamonds. I bring all of my diamonds that resonate with my story, because we're only talking to one person. We're building a tribe of people that can resonate with us through past experiences. I tried doing crypto, Forex trading, drop shipping. And if I talk about those and I never had success, then my avatar that struggled with drop shipping, Forex trading, and Amazon are going to listen to that message, but they heard a result, or if they heard a solution to that problem at the end of my, say, short form content. Now, I don't teach my affiliates to tell people to click on the link, their very first video. Build 1,000 followers of people that like and trust you first, so people actually buy from people, not from the company. And once we build that following of like-minded individuals, it doesn't matter if you're starting a podcast. It doesn't matter what it is. We have to find our tribe. And I've helped my affiliates, and I find my tribe through storytelling. And that is basically talking about where I was at, where I'm currently now, and where I want to go. Give them a vision. So if I can't tell them a vision, if I don't have a vision for myself, I don't know where I'm going. But if I could speak in volumes of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, and have conviction behind it, that's how I tell and teach my affiliates to produce content on all social media platforms. Bring them off the short form content platforms as there are diamonds, and then we nurture them in Facebook groups through long form content, going live like you do. You're nurturing your audience. Every time you go live, you are nurturing your audience, and you're hitting emotional pain points and roadblocks. You're talking about different ways and solutions that you discovered that helped you, and people are inspired to listen, because that might be a solution to their problem. So I call it the 7-hour rule. Some people won't buy your product from the first time they click on it. Typically, they have to either see it 7 times or 7 hours. So through my process, if you get into my ecosystem or in my blender, you're going to see 7 hours worth of testimonials, case studies. You're going to see different solutions, different problems, and all the problems that are prominently asked inside the marketplace. How do you start affiliate marketing? How do you make money online? I have all of that information inside of my Facebook group with looms that are already designed, because I put out questionnaires. And that's another topic we can get into on how I get answers to problems, is I put out questionnaires to the masses, and I ask them a series of questions of what are you struggling with? What have you tried in the past? What that didn't work, or, where are you at in your position, your job, whatever it may be. I'm taking, say, out of 200 questionnaires that are answered, I'm taking the ones that are answered the most, or the biggest problems, and I'm making content on that specifically, putting that in my Facebook group. So that's my frequently asked questions. So when a person has a question, I send them my Facebook group, and that's where the nurturing starts.
Man, what a great way to transition, because you would never believe what my next bullet point that I have written down is that I wanted to talk about. And it is entitled Your Facebook Group. Because before we die, I mean, this kind of leads into the Facebook group, but for you and your business, where do you find most of your clients? Is it Facebook, Instagram, email marketing? What is working for you right now?
Well, to break it down like this, only 20 to maybe 30% of people will buy on the front end. 70% will buy through your email. That's why they say the money's in the list. So through follow up, sending them to a Facebook group, a workshop, a 5-day challenge. But primarily now I find my people or my tribe or my clients on every social media platform. When I first started out, I started with one platform, and that was TikTok. Once I started on TikTok and I listened to my mentor, exactly what he told me to do, and as far as storytelling, within 20 days, I made $19,558.72 as soon as I jumped in with my mentor. So I knew it was gold, and I went live as much as possible. I went live for that 30 days. I hit 19,000 in the 20 days. And then I ended up going live for another 60 days on top of that. And then maybe my first 120K. So by putting myself out there, doing something, you have to have a unique differentiator. Why would somebody purchase from Devin over Eric? What is the unique differentiator? So we have to find that unique selling proposition. What makes you unique and what puts you as an authority to, I'm going to trust and like you, number one, to actually click on your link. So it all started with short form content because of people's attention spans. So now, since I'm running ads, I didn't run ads for my first million. I made 1.3 million, and now we're at 1.5, and I just started Facebook. I just started ads. So I made $1 million with organic. Now I'm jumping into ads, and I'm touching a lot more people through YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. But primarily, it's been on TikTok.
Interesting. TikTok. Okay. Break it down for me. You said your mentor told you to do something, and you made almost 20K. Break that down for me.
Yeah. So it was get on there and tell my unique story, talk about my origin story, talk about my past, relate with people. Because even if a person hasn't been to prison and indulged in alcohol and worked construction his whole life when he wasn't in prison, then they know a relative, a friend, a cousin, a brother, somebody that they can relate with and hear my story, and it's going to start triggering events and start triggering emotion. So if you look at my TikTok, one of my TikToks, I talk about my story. And I basically talk about, this is raw, uncut, and real. And I break it down. I wasn't holding anything back. I told them about prison. And this is like one of my first videos I've ever made. So I put myself out there right from the beginning, and either you loved me or you absolutely hated me. There's no like in the between. So that's what I build. I build a following of people through storytelling and talking about my past and what I've done to overcome those obstacles to get where I'm at today. And at the time, I didn't make $1 online. I didn't make a cent online, but I used the guru's story. And that's basically leveraging my mentor taught me these certain secrets. Now I'm teaching you. Now that raised me as an authority. See how that could work?
Let's talk to me more about that. I like the guru story. What is that? Break that down.
So basically the guru story is, as an example, it's Russell Brunson explains it. Myron Golden explains it. Dan Henry explains it because I had those as mentors, except for Myron. I met him a few times, that's it. But basically the way it works is if you have no kind of success in your online business, you have no following, you've never made any kind of money, the way it breaks down is I walked into this coffee shop one day and I was sitting there drinking my coffee, and this guy walks in and he has his briefcase. He goes and gets himself a latte and he sits down right next to me. And he starts opening this, he opened his briefcase and there's this binder or this journal. And then he gets on the phone and he starts talking to somebody, and there's this journal is like my hidden secrets as an example. He gets on the phone, he's talking business. Yeah, let's transfer 100 million. Let's do 100,000. Let's put 50K there. And it inspired me to listen a little bit more. So what happened was the guru, or the gentleman that sat next to me, decided to offer or help me out by giving me that journal. But he wouldn't give it to me. I had to copy as much as I possibly could down in the next hour. So now that I met that guru, that multimillionaire that I just told a story on, that just got it, sat down in the coffee shop, he got on the phone, talked about how much money he was moving. Then he was going to give me all of his secrets that made him $100 million in his business. So for the next hour, I copied down every secret that I could possibly find. They were all highlighted in green, the biggest, most prominent ones. So I took those secrets. Now I have those secrets. So now it almost put me on a pedestal because I have this multi-millionaire secrets that nobody else has given. He's never given away. Now I have them. So now when I use that story as far as putting, relating to somebody. You always relate to Golden, right? You talk about other people first, and then all of a sudden you become the authority on your lives. So that would be Meet the Guru story.
Man, that's awesome. That is
You do it and you don't even know it probably.
That is, and I do it consciously, because what a lot of people don't understand is that we're all driven by status.
100%.
So if what I'm going to do is I'm consciously going to borrow somebody else's status to elevate mine. But I that is just the story you told of the guy in the coffee shop in and of itself is a great way to explain the guru story. So like the story that explains the story was awesome. That was that. I hope if nobody else takes away anything else, like that right there, because there's a lot of people, Eric, that are like, but I haven't made $2 million. So how can I teach somebody how to make money? And like, you don't got to.
Nope.
And that was something that I didn't understand for a long time. So even if we look at Napoleon Hill, for example, he didn't make $1 billion. All he did was study people that did.
Yep.
Right. Like that's super powerful, man. Thanks for sharing that.
100%. And, my mentor started me out. I didn't make anything. That was my limiting beliefs. I don't have no following. I have no tech skills. I never made $1 online. He said, well, leverage my success. Talk about what frameworks I have given you and instilled in you, and talk about how they have changed my life. Leverage me up on a pedestal, but then take that information that you have it now, and he's not giving it away anymore, or it's cost $10,000 to work with him now, but you have all this knowledge and these frameworks. And that's all I did was leverage his success. I told my story and leveraged his success.
Man, that is so good. So let's dive into Facebook groups, because I want you to coach me trying to get this Facebook group thing right. But I know a lot of people are going to live vicariously through this. So let's talk number one. Number one, I guess, why is Facebook a good platform to be on for your business?
You can nurture your leads. You can't do it on any other platform. You can't do it on YouTube. You can't do it on Instagram. You can't do it on TikTok. Yes, you can go live, but you can't get any conversation or dialogue back and forth.
Okay.
Right. So that's where I actually can be myself. I'm myself everywhere I go, but they can actually see the real me on the other side of a camera, even ask me questions. So I use Facebook primarily for my long form. I'll go live. I'll host my 5-day challenges, my 3-day challenge, my perfect webinars, my 3 secrets, all of these different things I'm able to host inside of a Facebook group utilizing Zoom. And then I can connect with those people and ask them what their biggest takeaway was from the day. What inspired you today? And people don't really do that as much as they probably should. And I noticed you do it a lot in your Facebook group. You go, you have individuals come in, and that's where you could kind of nurture them. I'm not sure if Facebook is your only platform, but that's exactly how I do it. It's a long form content platform where you can actually connect, because it's a social platform. Right. TikTok's not a social platform.
So how do I get people into the group?
Well, there's a few different ways. Now, if you're doing it organically, then what you're going to do is use long story and short story form posts like you read earlier. I don't always do this before. I've never done this before. I hate when I do this, but here it is. I lay it out. I give my full self on my experience, and I use that content long form by branding myself, targeting my avatar. And the only people are going to hear that message is probably people that can relate. And so I use different types of bait hooks. I use bait posts. I talk about, whoever the last person is to comment on this post gets $100. That's a bait post. But if I want to put emotion in it using storytelling, the origin story, where I come from and where I'm at now, where I'm going, I put that in all my content. And so I'll use a mixture of long form storytelling, and then I'll use bait hook or bait posts in my short form on Facebook. And that's how I would drive people to actually engage on my piece of content. Now, on my Facebook profile, if you look at it, you'll see a call to action, because I run a challenge every single month. So you'll see the call to action typically on the bottom of these long form. Not all the time. I don't always give a call to action. I leave it open-ended so people will ask me a question based on what I just said, because I didn't give them an answer. That makes sense. So if there is a call to action, I have my Facebook profile set up as a funnel. And on that Facebook profile, that's funneling everybody into my Facebook group or my next offer, my new challenge. That's where I'm going to provide even more value. So if you click on my banner, you'll open it up and you'll see on the right-hand side, join my free 5-day business builder challenge. Here's the link. See you on the inside. So I use that as prime real estate. right? Like a billboard. And so for your example, I didn't really have too much friends and family. So I turned my Facebook profile that I had for years into a billboard and my prime piece of real estate where I can go into people's Facebook groups, not go in there and spam them, but I'll go into people's Facebook groups and just answer questions out of the kindness of my heart. So that's how I start driving more traffic into my Facebook profile. Now, the more engagement you get on your profile, the longer the page or the longer the post will stay to the top. And then as I'm doing that and people keep engaging, it stays to the top of my profile. But in the background, I'm not doing cold outreach, no cold DMs, none of that stuff. I'm going into these different Facebook groups that have my target avatar in them. And I'm going in there and just simply asking questions and leaving. Answer questions and leaving. Each time, each part of the day, 3 times a day, I'll go into 3 or 4 different Facebook groups and just provide tons of value, no links, no call to action to come find me, nothing. I would just drop that value and keep doing that. You become the authority and people start chasing you. You don't chase people. And that's just pretty much the way it's pretty much worked now. So I would literally just go into people's Facebook groups, not infiltrate, but provide value that their mentors, coaches, people that they pay thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for to try to get answers. I'll just go in and give it for free. And believe it or not, they're going to come chasing you down.
I love that. One of the things I admire about you and I want to ask you about, because I could definitely do a way better job of this. You promote the hell out of your business. Like you're like, join my group. I mean, join my challenge. And then like 2 days later, join my challenge. And then another day, like, join my challenge. I'm like, yo, he's out here promoting this thing. My question to you is, how do you do that without people getting tired of you promoting your business?
A lot of it's coming in through my email sequence. And the videos you see are the ones that are probably being pushed out by ads right now. Now, there's tons of long form posts on my Facebook profile that don't have a call to action. So I take all the individuals where I'll nurture them on, say, TikTok. I go live. And a lot of the times on TikTok, I'm not, unless it's a promotional cycle, I only promote for 14 days. Then I go straight back to value. Okay. So on my TikTok, that's where I'm going to go nurture them, answer questions, all that stuff. And I'll just invite them to my Facebook group. But then when they get into my ecosystem, I call a blender, but they're going to see my content constantly come at them. If you click on it once, you're going to see it again. Yeah. And it's bringing me into a free opportunity where I'm giving you everything that I know for free for 5 days. Right. So I'm not putting a price tag in front of my challenges. There's not like a $27 VI or general admission and a $98 upsell. No, you're coming into a straight free challenge. The only thing you have to do is show up and have an open mind. And so when I explain that to people, jump into my challenge, they see my VSL from the beginning. Listen, no money down. You're not paying nothing. I will have a special offer at the end. If you decide to take action and we're like-minded, then you'll have the opportunity to do so. But let me show you if it's the right opportunity first.
You said blender, you get them inside of this system of yours. How do you capture their email? Does it, and this kind of builds on the question is, do you, when someone joins your Facebook group, you have membership questions?
Yes.
Talk to me about the importance of those membership questions and how do you leverage those to get people inside of your ecosystem or to get them to raise their hand to say, I am interested in this.
Perfect. So first we have something called group leads. It's connected to my Facebook group. And as soon as somebody goes into my Facebook group and wants to join, there's going to be pre-qualifying questions like you just said. Where did you find this? Or how do you find this group? Are you currently a beginner, intermediate, or expert in your business? What do you want to do with your business? Do you want to start, scale, or whatever? And for more information or free assets, please go ahead and leave your email below. Once they put their email below, then it's going to trigger an event inside group leads. That's going to send an automated message that's going to basically go to their messenger. After they follow me, they're going to be able, it doesn't matter if they follow me or not, but it's going to go to their messenger as soon as they answer those questions. And it's going to have an introduction post. Hey, thank you so much for engaging on my content. Here's your next action steps. Go to the guide section, get all of your free information you possibly can, and we'll see you on the inside. So that's kind of like how I get them in and capture their email. Now, if I'm openly promoting, say, my challenge for that 14 days, then that's going to be in my TikTok. So go to my challenge. I'm going to click on an email there. If I'm openly just promoting my Facebook group for free value, then that's the only link I have in my bio. That's the only thing I'm going to talk about is go to my Facebook group to check out my free content. what others charge you tens of thousands for, I'm giving you away for free. And that's the truth. So when they get into that ecosystem, they're going to either come in from my Facebook group through group leads, or they're going to go in through an automated funnel or a lead capture page where I'm going to collect their name and email, and I'm going to spoil them with emails full of value.
So go through, you said group leads, correct? I never heard of
Correct.
that before. Okay. So group leads, I also heard you mention that it will DM them for you as well. Is that accurate? Break that down just so I have a click, because this is like game changing, to be honest with you. Break that down just in like 30 to 60 seconds, exactly what group leads will do.
So group leads, what it does is it captures your prospects' name and email, and whatever questions you have inside of your pre-qualifying questions, your Facebook group, it's going to put them in a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet is then triggered an event through Slack or Zapier, so not Slack, an event through Zapier that's going to send that name and email to your autoresponder. So what's going to happen is it's taking all that data on what people are struggling with, their beginner, who it referred them. It's going to take all that data and it's going to put it in a spreadsheet. And at the end of the month or at the end of the week, or depends on how many people we come in, it's going to gather that data. It's going to separate the name and email, put them on an email sequence, and then automatically send out a intro message through Messenger, inviting them and thanking them for taking action and jumping into my Facebook group. Here are your next action steps. Go to the guide section and look for guide number 1 and start there. So group leads is basically my pre-qualification process. Now, I will pre-qualify people, not because I don't just let everybody in my group. If they're part of 300 groups and they've been on Facebook for 3 days, like that's a red flag. Right. So there's different qualifications that we'll have to go through. Now, you could individually accept people into your Facebook group through group leads, or you can do it in a whole. So what I would do is I go and if somebody requested to get in my Facebook group, before I accepted the request, I would go to their Facebook profile. I would see how long they're on Facebook for. I would see how many friends they have, how many like-minded friends they have, and how many groups they're part of. If they seem like they're a good fit for my community, that's when I'll go and engage on 2 of their posts. I'll comment on something I like. I'll be like, hey man, that's a great, that's a badass dirt bike, or hey, that you're absolutely crushing it with the online business, or hey, you're absolutely crushing it playing pool. I love to play pool as well, man. Keep up the good work. I would just hit it and then go, and then I would go approve them. They would see that I engaged on their posts, and then they would be like, oh man, I'm part of that Facebook group, and he engaged. So now they come into my ecosystem or my blender. But it all starts with group leads, pre-qualifying questions, getting that initial message sent out, and then I'm capturing their name and email, and also what questions and what their answers were for my questions.
That's awesome. That is really, really, I hope you guys are appreciating, like, nobody's dropping his game online. Like,
not at all. I paid over $100,000 to learn what I know.
This is crazy, dude. Okay. Now, and the reason why I am focusing so heavily on the group aspect is because it's so valuable, and you've demonstrated that. So now people are in the group. Let's say I got my first 100 people. What type of content am I putting inside of the group? Because I don't know. You tell me. You're the master at this. The posts that I put on my personal page, are they going to be different from what's inside of my Facebook group? And if so, how?
Yes. So the post that you put on your personal page, that's enticing somebody to take action, and you're triggering some kind of emotion through storytelling. So, you're overcoming a roadblock. Here's what I've done. Here's the guru, and here's what my future is. Or you can use the guru story, the epiphany story, the origin story. There's 12 different stories. And so typically the ones that people use, the origin story, where I was at, where I'm going. They use the guru story on, I met this dude, he gave me this information, and now I know it, and I'm going to teach it to you. And then the epiphany story is like, I woke up one day, I was in prison. My sister sent me this book, and I had this low self-image of myself. I knew I was just going to be back in prison based on the narcissism, but I had this epiphany when I read this book, and it absolutely changed my life. If you want more information on that book and what I learned out of it, go to my Facebook group. So now I'm driving all traffic based off my origin story, epiphany story, meet the guru, and there's several other ones. But I'm using that long form, short form content on my profile. And then when I get into my Facebook group, then I'm just crushing them with value, with information, like overload. So much information that they can't wrap their mind around, and they must book a call. And the thing of it is, if a person won't purchase from you unless you answer all their questions. If you answer all their questions, they have no choice but to invest. So they'll go into my Facebook group where I'm going to put them in the blender, and there's a guide section that's going to walk them through all of the frequently asked questions. What is affiliate marketing? How to get started? What tools to use? I lay it all out. How to find affiliate products, everything. So they'll go through there and their mind will be blown on how much value is in here. I paid $1,000 for a course and I didn't get this much value. So I put as much value as I possibly can at a 40,000 foot view, not eye level. And eye level is when you're going to meet with me one-on-one personally, or we work into my roadmap course or whatever it may be, because I have several courses. So, but basically I'm taking them, I'm inspiring them and enticing them to go to my profile or my Facebook group. And in my Facebook group, I'm spoiling them with going live like you do, and also providing value that nobody else would give. The more you give, the more you get.
So in that guide section, I also heard you say earlier that you do Loom videos answering specific questions. Is that accurate?
100%.
Talk a little bit about that, because I'd never seen anybody do that before.
Okay. So what I would do is I would go to Google Forms and I would fill out, I would make like 10 questions. Like, what questions would my avatar, because when you think about an avatar, they're 2 chapters below where you are currently. Anybody that's on the same level as you, they might like your stuff and say good job and carry on. But somebody that's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, aspiring to start a podcast, and you're talking about certain things that happened to you 2 years ago and what you've done to overcome that, now you're speaking to that avatar, right? So what I'll do is I'll get all these questions. I'll get 12 questions, 10 questions. I have so many different surveys, and I'll put those surveys out, and whatever people answer on those surveys are what people want to learn. I don't teach what I want to teach. I teach what people want to learn. And so I put out surveys a lot. Why did you purchase survey? Why did you not purchase survey? Why did you join my Facebook survey? And then I'll have these surveys that ask specific questions. I'll gather those questions, and the ones that are talked about the most, I'll group those together, and I'll make trainings on those to answer those questions directly. And I'll take a Loom and I'll maybe do a screen share, or I'll go live on a Loom and just talk about that specific topic, or I'll show somebody how to find an affiliate product, or what funnel builders to use, what autoresponder. So I have all of these frequently asked questions that people do want to learn, not what I want to teach. And I'll put those in my Facebook group. So it does all the answering for me. I just redirect them back to the Loom video.
Yeah, that's so good. That is so good. Now, when you say crush them with content, how much should I be posting in my group?
Okay.
What should the cadence be?
So I would go live no more than 3 times a week in your Facebook group. No more than, because they'll get tired of you. They'll already hear this, you know what I mean? So I would go, so you want that like, how do you say it? Like, you want that anticipation for you to go live, right? And so I would do no more than 3 lives per week. 1's good, but 3 is probably the best. And then if you're going live 3 days a week, you're going to do some testimonials and case studies. So if you have any experience, or if you go on a podcast with somebody, hey, I was on a podcast with Eric today. He talked about X, Y, Z. If you want the behind the scenes on that podcast, go ahead and comment below. And I'm going to send you the uncut footage as an example, right? So you're going to be talking about who you met with. They didn't hear the podcast, but then when you send them the content, it's going to direct them right back to your podcast anyway. So they're not going to get, go ahead.
Eric, just to be clear, I got live videos 3 times a week. Yep. And then is another group of posts, testimonials, and case studies. That's a total separate.
That's 1 day.
Okay. So
inside of your group, just do like a testimonial or a case study that day. Maybe go live with a client, go live and do something in your group, or just go live yourself, possibly, but 3 times. Then you have the testimonial or case study is maybe somebody else doing a video saying how great you are. So that could be not considered one of your lives, but that's just like a testimonial or case study, because it's not what we say about ourselves, it's what other people say about us that really moves people and like brings them to the altar. So when you start using that strategy of like a long story post, hey, I had this moment, I mean, I completely sucked, or you talk about your wins, talk about your losses too, your failures, bring that up in your post. Like, I'm just like you. I'm not 100% all the time. I have my down days, and, I had this day to day, I drink my coffee, but I didn't feel like doing anything in my business. I felt like a failure, an imposter. And, I really had to go back to this one book or this one message that Marilyn Golden told me, or that Tony Robbins said one time. And I really thought about that, and it hit me hard. And here's what I had done, and what I took from it. And I hope it can help you too. So it's mostly like encouraging posts. Then you have Meet the Guru. You could do that again as well inside there. You know, I was once told by this mentor this one specific thing, and I brushed it off and I didn't think it was relevant. Then I come to 2 years later in my life, and I was going in this troublesome time, or I was having a hard time, or whatever. I feel like giving up working out, but I remembered what that mentor said 3 years ago, and he said exactly this: then lay it all down. Don't hold nothing back.
What's the call to action there?
Call to action is nothing. It doesn't have to be, because if it's powerful enough, they're going to comment on it like, dude, that's badass. That changed my life. That opened my eyes. It gave me a better day. Right. And you're going to start building a community. Your Facebook group is your community. The bigger and stronger your community is, the faster you'll grow, because they'll go to bat for you no matter what. Like today, if I get a post on TikTok and somebody's talking crap about, oh, you're bald, or hey, your ears stick out, I got 75, 80 people backing me up, dude, like wanting to go fight them. I'll have arguments literally inside my chats. It's happened in my Facebook group. It's even happened on my profile, where somebody wants to disrespect me because I'm telling my story and how I was before, and here I am now. And somebody will talk crap. I bet you're still a crackhead. Actually, I have a video. I don't know if I can share it with you, but somebody named Jimmy, and he was somebody I don't know has been trolling me, says, I bet you still do meth, and you're still like, you don't care about people. So I made
I saw that. I think I saw you post that on your Facebook.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just crushed him with kindness. I said, hey, I know Jimmy's in a troublesome spot right now. He's probably low, deep in his, but can we please pray for Jimmy? Let's help Jimmy out. And so that's how I go to bat with, that I guess that negative self-talk, the limiting beliefs he has on himself. I just try to build him up. But a lot of the times people would just go to bat for me and I don't have to say nothing. I had to take posts off or take videos down from TikTok, because it literally started fights where, hey, meet me at my address, man. I'm in Baltimore, bro. I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. I had to, because it started getting violent in those things, because my community, my following went to bat for me.
Man, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Okay, I know you run challenges, and I want to touch on that very briefly. You got a couple more minutes, man. This is incredible.
I got you, bro. The only thing I want from you, man, is I want you to refer me to other podcasts. I'm trying to get my message out there.
Listen, the amount of value that you've provided here today for us is incredible. And there's a couple of different two more things I want to touch on.
Let's do it.
And they kind of go hand in hand. Okay, they're in my group. How do I get them on a call?
Ooh, simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to make I would call it let's do a list post, right? So you start with the hook, the story, 3 secrets. They taught this at Funnel Hacking Live. The hook, the meat and potato, the hook, the story, the meat and potatoes, or the 3 secrets, and then the call to action. So what I would start with was maybe, as an example, podcast reached 100,000 downloads, and I actually met with this individual that said one thing that changed my life. As the hook, right? And then the story was, I was on this podcast with this individual. I don't know who to say, but throughout that process, he was telling me about a time in his life when he had a struggle, and I really related with that. And I took notes on this topic, and here's what they were. Secret number 1, secret number 2, secret number 3. If you have this same struggle, based on, because you're giving them the secrets, but it's not all the secrets. Based on this struggle, if you'd like to book a call with me to see if I can help you start a podcast, or if you think I can help you transform your life in any which way, it's going to start more from the beginning and like basically on the front end through your storytelling. Then you bring them in your Facebook group, drop some value, drop a free training. You go live and just like talk about what Tony Robbins said, just go so in depth with it, but you have so much more to add. If this inspired you, go ahead and book a call with me.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. It's like it's no
simple.
Reason to overcomplicate it.
No, not at all. People will want to book a call with you and wonder why you don't have a calendar, because you're putting out so much value. And then if you all of a sudden drop your calendar out there, hey, I just started this new program. It's called XYZ. I'm looking for a beta group to start, join with me. If you want to jump on a call with me, and maybe we can just see what your business looks like right now. If you're struggling with your podcast, as an example, let me jump on a call with you. I'm going to give you some great tips and tactics to help you along this journey that I wish I'd have known before. Boom. Yeah. Okay. Then you don't drop your link to your Zoom right in that thing. You say comment below if you are like-minded, and you think you will be a good fit, go ahead and comment below. I'll go ahead and send you my calendar. And then when they get on the calendar, it's not going to be a teaching session. I mean, you're pretty good at sales, right?
I know a little bit about it.
Okay. So when you get on a call like that, it's not going to be a complete teaching session. Now I don't know, maybe I should share it with you, bro. You seem like a cool dude. It's called a high ticket closing script. And you want to get on the first call and build rapport. First thing. Then you set expectations. Okay, on this call, here's what's going to happen. You're a patient. I'm a doctor. You're going to give me your symptoms. I'm going to give you a diagnosis, pretty much, right? So that's kind of like how it's going to work. You don't ever want to get on a call and be a complete teaching moment, because they're going to be taking your kindness for weakness. But you're going to let them basically divulge everything, if that's the right word, or express everything that they're going through currently and all the pain points. And you always say, I have a solution for that. That's my course, pretty much, right? I have a solution for that. So it goes from with building rapport, setting expectations, identifying the decision maker, because I won't get on a call if there's a husband and a wife, and a husband, he can't make the decision without his wife, and the wife can't make the decision without his husband. So I will cancel the call right at that point. Okay, go ahead and get your husband or your wife on the call. I would definitely want to, talk to both of you guys. And then it goes into finding the reason why they booked a call with you in the first place. You dig for information on why they want to be on there, what their problem is, identify their current situation, extract pain, identify where they want to be, identify why they want to be there, and then make them admit that they have a problem and they need your help no matter what. They tried everything else, like you're the man. I make them admit that, and then secure a commitment, and then you customize the offer.
That's some
so it's I go in a lot more depth with this. I only have a little bit of time. I would have went way more in depth, but it's all about like you getting on a call with somebody, answering their questions at a 40,000 foot view, and everything eye level is in your course or your extended training or your mastermind or your coaching program.
Eric, this is next level. And if you're giving me this information and us this information in 1 hour, I cannot fathom what 5 days or 3 days with you in your challenge would look like.
You're more than welcome to join, brother.
I mean this when I say this, Eric. This might be the most tactical. I've done 170 episodes. This might be the most tactical episode I've ever done with anybody. And I mean that. So what I want my audience to do, and I don't really tell them to do things very often, I want them to join your challenge. Talk to me about where they can go to join this challenge and who it is perfect for.
That's perfect for, okay, first of all, you can go to 5-day business builder challenge.com. And it's perfect for anybody that's just starting out and learning how to make money online, all the way up to if you want to scale past $10,000 a month in your business. If you're doing 10K, I'm going to speak volumes to people that even are making $10,000 a month and they want to scale to 20. So it's 5-day business builder challenge.com, or you can just go to my Facebook profile, which is Eric Forner, or Passive Income Blueprints.
And all links will be down in the description below, wherever you're listening to this or watching this. So, man, brother Eric, I can talk to you for like another 5-6 hours. We're gonna have to do a part 2 to this sometime, but I want to thank you deeply for being here and giving all of this. Why do you give so much? I have to ask you that before we go. Like, why go to this extreme to give me all of this information that you probably haven't shared elsewhere? Or maybe you have, but like, first I'm hearing of it. This is nuts.
Yeah, I've never actually sat down on a podcast. I've done I've been on 10 podcasts right now, and nobody ever asked me the questions that were needed for me to open up this door. Right. So there's definitely a lot of intellect behind that microphone right there on the other side, which is Devin, and he asked the right questions. But to answer your question, first and foremost, is my mentor done the same thing with me. That's how he got me involved inside of his community, was he gave me so much value, and it was always people before profit, hands down, because a person could not possibly wrap their mind around everything in 1 hour. And if you give more value than anybody else has ever given them, even through a paid $5,000 course, guess who they're going to come back to?
Going to come back to Eric.
100%.
Back to
brother.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric,
so rest in peace. My mentor died about 8 months ago, had an opiate overdose. And so just a shout out to him. His name was Brad Showkraut. He was 26 years old, but he actually gave me my start. He's seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. And it's the more you give, the more you get. Don't be afraid to give, because I promise you it comes back tenfold.
Remember how we started the podcast? We said with that book that it's a ripple effect, and your mentor is no longer here, but guess what? Now his work is impacting thousands of people through
100%.
you.
And I've
So
surpassed
it's
him.
crazy.
I've surpassed him in a short amount of time. And so it's only going to get better and better. My goal is to, by 2025, I want to help 1,000 people, not just make their first dollar online, but make their first $10,000 online.
Yeah. And you're going to, just because of your heart, man. So Eric, thank you for being a guest on this podcast. This has been one of the most enjoyable experiences, one that I'm really looking forward to watching back and taking notes. I have my iPad in front of me, and I've been trying to feverishly take notes, yet still stay present. So I can't wait to go back and watch this again. But brother, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Cannot wait to see you in a couple of years, getting maybe next year, probably, if I had to get your $25 million award, your $10 million award at ClickFunnels, man. Such an amazing future. But thank you for being here, brother. Best of luck to you. Keep crushing it.
Appreciate you, man. Have a blessed day.